What is up, guys? How's it going? This is William here. Just want to go over a weekly watch list with you guys for the week. As you can see, kind of in the middle frame right here, we have the typical SPY, QQQ, Apple, Tesla, and Netflix. But we also have Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, and AMD thrown in there as well this week. As two additional names that I'm going to be watching. Maybe as a swing trade, maybe as a day trade, but we'll see. I mean, after all, it does depend on kind of what the market's wanting to do this week. If we're bullish, these setups work out. If we're bearish, then not. But that's why we game plan, right? To have a plan for both sides. So before we do that, just want to do some quick pattern drawing type stuff. First we'll start with Apple here. I already have all the levels charted out, but with Apple you can see we're forming something kind of like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Maybe we hit a resistance level up here on 140 or something, or maybe we break it. If I go ahead and switch to the actual levels, yeah, it looks like a nightmare, but if we go down to like a 5-minute chart, it's a whole lot prettier. So obviously the levels are kind of few and far between. But we can do stuff like add the previous day's high, which is going to be right there. So levels like that. So basically, as a range for the week, I'd probably be watching up to like that 140 area. So something like in here, those are the levels that I watch. So obviously, once we get above like 136.44, I start to get a whole lot more interested in day trading this, just because it has more frequent price targets. But if we were to look strong over like 135 or so, maybe I would pick up like a 2 weeks till expiration contract and try and ride it up. Just really wanted to make sure that it hits the price targets within the time that we're buying, for me at least. So there's that on Apple. Next we'll go up to Microsoft. Switch back out to the daily chart. So Microsoft, kind of don't even really need to draw it, but we have this we can go like here, I guess, and then from like there down, so like this descending channel broadening wedge type formation thing showing up here. Obviously Microsoft was the big name on my watch list last week, and it exploded. Remember, we said this hammer was coming out of demand zone, and then every single day last week it was green, and made up about $20 from where that hammer was. So pretty nice move there. But we can watch it for a continuation. Obviously it was strong last week, so maybe it'll continue. And then obviously we get pretty bullish if we end up breaking out of this channel. Otherwise we could reject and head back down. So that's just something to watch with that. If we like Apple, switch to the smaller time frame. So yeah, I mean, much like Apple, you can see that it's, once you go down to a smaller time frame, it's a little bit easier on the eye. But something like this, like I can trade this really well, just because I have certain levels that I can trade by. So like if we were to get to 243, I might pick up some 245 calls, ride half of them to this first price target, and then most of them up to here, and maybe let some of them try and get to this 249 mark. So just stuff like that. Obviously it looks like a bit of a headache from out here on the daily chart, but once you get down to that smaller time frame, it's a lot more friendly. So Next we go to Netflix. Netflix is kind of not like the other charts so far. At least Microsoft and Apple. Netflix kind of has this like weird bear flaggy like rising wedge kind of ascending channel type thing going on. So that's just always something to watch there. It kind of, we have filled this gap now, so maybe we see some rejection. Otherwise, we can head up back to this gap all the way up at like in the 500s basically. So that would be quite a move. But if we go to the levels that I have drawn on it for this week, zoom out a little bit here. So I mean, like, this is really nice with Netflix just because, I mean, it can make these $5 moves, $10 moves in a day. Who knows, we gap up overnight and we're sitting close to this level. We have two really attainable levels tomorrow morning. If we chill in here, we've got some short side levels, we got a long level. So just a lot of nice stuff to look for in terms of that. Just using those emerging highs and combining it with fibs. I've been doing it a little recently, and it's worked out well for me. This fits my eye really, really nicely. So just levels to watch there. Next is going to be Tesla. Scroll back on out to the daily chart. So obviously Tesla, I mean, we don't really have a ton to draw. I guess you could draw like this like broadening wedge type thing. Broadening formation, I guess it's not a wedge if it's broadening. But something like this. Obviously this is pretty steep down as compared to like the top line. So if we're going to come down and test this line, it's probably not going to be until like 50, which I really don't see happening. So that's kind of doesn't, I mean, it's good to draw it there, but I don't think that we're going to be testing this bottom trend line again before we break out of the top one, So if we switch drawing sets on Tesla here, you can see we have a decent amount of fib levels here. Our emerging highs come from all the way back here in what, like 2020, basically, all 2020. So that's just cool to see that those levels are showing up again. But as you can see, I mean, Tesla, we're not going to have like a ton of levels to trade throughout the day. Obviously, we can go ahead and add this like previous day low. We can throw the previous day open in there. We basically have the high and the close. So just stuff like that. I mean, that gives you some good levels for the next day, in my opinion. Obviously, once we break down from 115, we're probably not going to go straight to like 103. So it's just a matter of like knowing that, hey, I have profits on the table. This could be a good spot. These are more so just levels to show like, hey, this could be a good spot to enter long or short. Look for a balance, reject, whatever you may have. And then if we are able to, can use them for price targets as well. So there's that with Tesla. Next is going to be NVIDIA. Actually, no. Next is going to be AMD, because AMD is kind of the better watch in the chip sector for me. But likely NVIDIA will follow. So if we zoom in just a tad here and take a trend line all the way down, basically from all-time highs here like that, getting a bunch of touches here, had a little bit of a break and reject and break and reject, but we're finally looking like we're trying to break out of this trend line down here. 5 green days all holding over it. Obviously we don't have a ton of strength, but this is the farthest it's gotten away from that trend line so far. So I'm looking for kind of a continuation in AMD, and for it to pull the rest of the chips with it. So if we go over to the levels, zoom in. So obviously we're already outside of this range, but I'm going to be looking for this like 71.35 to go long. And with AMD's chart, at least, I'm probably going to be looking like a couple weeks out, just because I'm not really expecting us to get like straight $2 move or $4 move like instantly. Obviously it could if the chips get really strong, but I just don't see that happening necessarily. So it'd be better to buy time and let the contract do what it's going to do with that. So that's AMD. Now we can go to NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, we can draw kind of the same like looking trend line. We can put one from here through all of this, and we're getting a breakout. We can draw one through this guy like that. That's pretty close to getting a breakout. You can draw one from here to there, and you could just basically get yourself a lot of like slanted levels if you wanted, but that's not how I trade. But those are just some trend lines to watch. If we go down to the actual levels, like I said, the reason I like NVIDIA is because AMD looks really good. Usually the chips like to move together. So, provided that we aren't going to be gapping up overnight, I'm not saying that we won't gap up, but I'm saying like if we don't gap up overnight, this 169.7 level could be a good watch. If we gap up, probably won't look to go long until this like 174.63 level. If we gap down, obviously we have some more levels to go long above. So I'm liking the way that NVIDIA is setting up for a possible day trade, because I really don't think that we're going to open flat from here tomorrow. I don't necessarily have a preference one way or the other, because we have some good levels on each side. Next is going to be Amazon. So Amazon I like kind of the same reason as AMD, right? It's not its trend line from all-time highs, but from, we made new lows back here, and then we came back up, and I don't like how that clung to that. Alright. So if we draw a trend line like this, and zoom in down here, you can see that we broke out, got a retest right to the breakout level, and then continued higher. That's an engulfing candle. This is a really bullish candle, so I'm looking for a continuation in that. And then we can switch over to actual levels to watch. So really, going long like at this 100 psych level is probably what I'm going to be watching. Maybe wait till 164, 100.64, just so that we can like kind of clear those psych sellers out of the way, and show that we are trying to make this continuation. But we've got good bounce levels on the downside. We've got good take profit levels to the upside. So Amazon's one of my favorites this week on the watch list. So there is that. Next we'll go to Q's. I suppose next we'll do SPY actually, because kind of the same thing with like AMD, NVIDIA. I've dug into the SPY chart a little bit more than I have the QQQ chart. So we'll go ahead and chart this real quick. Obviously we have our trend line from all-time highs. Everyone, mother of all trend lines, whatever you want to call it. But literally the high day last Friday was like right off this trend line. So that's something to watch. And then we also have this triangle forming. If we draw a trend line from lows, all those wicks hit it. So really we're getting pretty tight in this range. the maximum amount of time we could stay in this is like another 2 weeks. So that's just something to watch out for. We're going to get a break one way or the other. Hopefully it won't just go sideways. So just something I'm watching out for. I really do think that we're going to break up just the amount of times that we've tested this trend line. And last time we finally got over it a little bit. So maybe this time we'll break out, retest it, and continue up. But I am leaning slightly bullish coming up here for at least the next little while. And then, if we look at actual levels, obviously SPY's chart looks like a nightmare. But if you just bear with me for a second, obviously once we get up to like 420 to like 440, the area where all these golden pockets are sitting, that's where I'm going to be looking for maybe another reject. So like I said, I'm bullish for now. But once we get up into those areas, at least see a little bit of a pullback. Just like the market didn't go straight down, if we're starting a new bull market, the market is not going to go straight up. We're probably going to have very similar, up, down, up, something like that. So if we zoom in real quick, it's just SPY levels here. I really like how these are spaced just every couple bucks. You can definitely get a move between the two, and it works out in your favor. We do have this like big price gap kind of from like 400 to 405, so that's something that I might watch, maybe for like a swing or something. I'm not sure off the top of my head what data we have coming out this week, but that could be something that fills that price gap up to this 50% retracement from looks like it started in March of last year. So there's that on SPY, and then we'll finish it off with QQQ, the tried and true as of late. So yeah, QQQ, I mean, kind of the same thing. If we draw a trend line, I mean, if we hit this, we can really kind of just draw it through like here, something like that. I mean, obviously we've broken out of it a couple times, but it's been respected for the most part from all-time highs. And then unlike SPY, it's not as like aggressive of a triangle. Like it more so looks like just like a descending triangle, something like that. So I like QQQ a little bit more to the upside, considering that this bottom trend line is a little bit more flat. It just shows that we made a little bit bigger of a retracement, and now we're continuing up. But I mean, like with SPY on QQQ here, the trend line's like $2-3 away, so this is definitely something that come tomorrow morning we could be outside of, and either we can get a reject or look for continuation, whatever it may be. But just switch down to the levels real quick. So with QQQ we got this. Obviously we stated that trend line is going to fall somewhere between 283 and 284 here. So that's excuse me. That's just something that we can watch. But we have 282, 285 above that. Looks like we get a pretty big price gap up to here. So maybe look for some consolidation overnight, or maybe look for it to just fill that gap. Kind of like we have a SPY between 400 and 405. So that's what I've got on the watch list this week. We'll be paying close attention to those names. We'll always be checking to see if something else popped up. But those were kind of the ones that caught my eye. Really, Amazon and AMD are my favorites going into this week. Microsoft strong last week, so we can watch for continuation. SPY and QQQ always stay on there. Apple being the king of the market. And then I just like the way that Netflix and Tesla move. NVIDIA's on there because of AMD. So that's the breakdown for all those, what I got for this video. So we will see you guys in the next one.